How to compare fractions. We are given the fractions a by b and c by d. A and c are the numerators and b and d are the denominators. Fractions may be compared by normalizing the denominators or by normalizing the numerators. This is also a working procedure that we'll describe. By normalize, we mean make equal or similar. In normalizing denominators approach, we use b and d and we normalize the two fractions using the LCM of b and d. In normalized numerators approach, we use the LCM of a and c and normalize these two fractions so that comparison becomes easy. So the normalizing may be done by using the LCM or its multiples, 2 times of LCM, 3 times of LCM, and so on. Normalizing may also be done by using the GCD, the greatest common divisor. Let's take an example. Compare the fractions 2 by 7 and 3 by 8. We normalize the denominators by using the LCM of 7 and 8. LCM of 7 and 8 is 56, and 7 times of 8 is 56 too. So we use the LCM 56 and normalize these two fractions. The steps are shown here and marked 1 and 2. So after the normalization using the LCM, the fraction 2 by 7 becomes 16 by 56 and the fraction 3 by 8 becomes 21 by 56. The denominators of given fractions have been normalized, made equal, using LCM at equations 1 and 2, these two equations. We may now compare the numerators. So since 21 is larger than 16, we conclude that 21 by 56 is larger than 16 by 56, and therefore 3 by 8 is larger than 2 by 7. Now let us compare the same fractions by numerator normalization. So we need to compare the fractions 2 by 7 and 3 by 8 by using numerator normalization approach, for which we use the LCM of 2 and 3, which is 6. Also, 2 times of 3 is 6. Normalizing using 6, these two fractions, we have 2 by 7 becomes 6 by 21 and 3 by 8 becomes 6 by 16. Now, larger the denominator, smaller the fraction, isn't it? So 21 is larger than 16, so 1 by 21 is smaller than 1 by 16. Therefore, 6 by 16 must be larger than 6 by 21. And therefore it follows that 3 by 8 is larger than 2 by 7. The same conclusion that we arrived at using denominators normalization approach. Now we describe a procedure for comparing fractions, a working procedure for comparing fractions. Let a and b, a by b and c by d be two given positive fractions. Step 2, assume a by b larger than c by d. This may or may not be true. The truth of this is verified in the following steps. In step 3, multiply both sides of step 2 by LCM of the denominators of b and d. B and d are the denominators. Get their LCM and multiply this equation with the LCM on both sides. If the statement resulting from step 3 is true, then assumption at step 2 is true. So whatever comes out of step 3, if it is true, then this assumption is true. Else the assumption at step 2 is false. So reversing the assumption must be the true statement. So that's how we determine the sign of these two fractions as to which one is larger than which. Now let's look at an example for the working procedure. Compare the same two fractions 2 by 7 and 3 by 8 using this working procedure. Step 2, assume that 2 by 7 is larger than 3 by 8. This may or may not be true. We will verify the truth of this using the following steps. So we multiply both sides of step 2 by LCM of the denominators. LCM of 7 and 8 is 56. Now multiplying both sides of step 2 by 56, we have 16 larger than 21. So this assumption leads to the statement that 16 is larger than 21. So if the statement resulting from step 3 is true, then assumption at step 2 must be true. But the statement resulting from step 3 is a false statement. The 16 is larger than 21 is a false statement. So the original assumption must be false. This is not the correct sign connecting these two fractions. It must be reversed. So the correct statement is 2 by 7 is less than 3 by 8.